Welcome to my next game of Neptune's Pride 64-man Ultra Mode. This is a special little game I'm doing because we'll call this one Yellow Hex, Graymason. What's interesting about this one is I actually had someone from the Discord community reach out, Belson, if anyone knows Belson from Discord, and he said he's actually going to do a recording of the next game as well and thought it might be interesting to have two different empires doing a daily diary of the same game to get multiple perspectives. So we're going to do it. No idea where I'm going to spawn. Actually, the initial dark spawning here looks pretty good. Like I should be able to get a couple of these two nearby stars that are pretty good stars. This one's out of range, but someone else is presumably will get it, so that'll be a good trading partner. So knowing nothing else, completely blind, happy with this initial placement. Let's see how lucky I get with some neighbors that I can partner with and create some chaos. And here we go. We are in cycle 0. The game has begun. We're only like 7 hours into the game, and holy cow, there has been a ton of activity. So let me fill you in on what's happened. First of all, like many messages have been sent. Well, let me first focus on this. I'm spawning in the northwest corner. Who's near me? I looked and I didn't notice a lot of players that I knew the names of. Beltaloda, Soulfire, with a lot of badges, so clearly knows what they're doing. The Merchant. I know the Carmonian Republic from prior games a little bit, fought them. Eyes there too. My old buddy Jorb Gorb, love Jorb. Jorby Poo. And then looking down here, some other people I don't really know. Space Guy, Ferrari, the Bronx, One Blue. I don't know these people or that I know of. And so the first thing I did, I basically reached out to everyone. But the person that reached out to me first was actually Belt. We'll call him Belt. And there was, you can see, a lot of communication like out of the gate, right? First is, hey, are you is this for your YouTube? And I said, yeah. And then I get this bizarre thing. We start talking, and basically he's like, hey, let's go ahead and move this to Discord. So we start talking in Discord, and let me just show you the chat from this. So a guy named Krasko, if you know him in Discord, he's pretty active in the Discord community, and we proceed to have quite a lengthy conversation here. And I'm just scrolling fast just to give you a sense of the conversations I'm still scrolling, right? Holy crap. So that's the amount of communication literally in the first hour or two. And basically, here's how it started. It was, all right, there's this contention of these cluster of stars. This guy not responding, maybe he's AFK, don't know. But Belt wants to talk to Soulfire. You can see how I pathed my ships. And basically, I know I'm not going to contend. And my first reaction was, let's kill Soulfire. Soulfire is kind of right in the way, and let's kill him. And Belt was on board. He's like, well, should we do it now? Should we try to ally and then stab him? Like, no, because he's going to get strong and hard to kill. Let's kill him right away. So that was my first reaction. And then an interesting thing happened right away. A little spoiler alert. This guy named the Merchant. This guy next to me says, hello there. I would like to inform you all that I would like to trade with you. I'm going to go for peaceful way of things, so I'm going to be a bridge between people to trade, even if far away. As a proof, you can keep check on my industry. I would like to get at least one planet near each active player. Would you help me realize this? If you will, I will give you some of the technology I will get. What do you say? Jorb Corp's like, I'm in. I'm like, what a wonderful idea. Hey, this similar kind of atypical play like the Jewish Star Empire. You guys should sync up. But as soon as he said that, I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm gonna go kill him. Like, what? Thank you. He's not gonna build industry. He's not gonna build industry. And he built a little bit. That's unfortunate. But yeah, so I'm gonna kill him because I don't need the guy next to me trading all the tech I get to like people I want to kill. Like that's a terrible idea to me. But like think what I could do. So his stores, the merchant stores, will be under new management soon. I did tell him I'm going to take these stars, and he was like, "Well, I guess I can't stop you because I'm peaceful." I'm like, "Okay, great." Um, so, so first off, that sealed the fate. I want to get with Jorb because I trust him and I like him. Um, I want to work with Belt because he talks about as much as me, and that is something I enjoy. I like being able to communicate with folks. Soulfire, he looks savvy, and he may be a great ally. So when that happened, I'm like, all right, fine. Let's go ahead, and so I'm talking with Belt. And I'm like, let's go ahead and make a 3-man alliance. And you guys can go south. Let me go east by myself, though. And then Soulfire was like, hey, can we get, like, I need to grow too. And I said, I'm like, listen, you're going to get 9 stars. I've only got 6 stars I can get. And although I'm going to get a few more from the merchant he doesn't know about. But he's like, let's do every other. So then I basically opened up the thread. I let him know who I was. I made this Northwest Alliance thread, and I basically said, hey, been talking with you. Let's let everyone know who I am. I sent a video where I play with Jorb so he knows what's going on. And yeah. So basically, I'm saying you guys push south, let me push east. But the point of contention is he's going to get that star, this here pure attic. I want the rest. And he's like, well, maybe we can like leapfrog each other. I'm like, I don't want to do that because then, like, first of all, I don't want you coming and getting more stars this way. And then he's going to take those ships back his way, or he's going to want more stars my way. Like, I'm, I don't want that. So we'll see if this works out. I'm hoping with him seeing the big picture that that he'll be fine. He'll be fine just to push south without me. He said he had to go to work. Um, but yeah, so that's day one. A lot of activity already. I guess the other thing, so the Carmonian Republic, I was reaching out to them, and they basically came back, and I said, hey, you want to work together? Sure, I'd be down. Not making any serious commitments at this point, the game, but I'm always up for allying with someone. Let's meet up when we can and work something out. To me, that's kind of lukewarm, and I'm just going to kill him too. And then I'm going to kill Izir too. Like, I'm going to kill all these people. Maybe Jorb gets some of that too. Jorb's going to need some stars, and I think he is. Look at that. He doesn't have, and he's going to have to come up here. So yeah, we'll connect. We'll divvy this up. He'll get some of this. I'll get some of this. We'll meet in the middle. That'll be strong. We'll kind of smush these players maybe. But yeah, that's the plan. One other thing of note, I mentioned earlier, Belson is in this game and doing a recording. That's not him. I thought he was in the center somewhere. Where did he go? Where did he go? He was in the. Oh, this is not the center. This is the center. Yeah. So that's not him either. Son of a gun. There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah. So I'll link up in the top here to his playlist, his video, but you'll basically see what's going on in the game from the perspective of the center. So you're going to get the play-by-play, what's happened in the Northwest. You can go over to Belsun and get the play-by-play at the same time, what's happening in the center of the galaxy. And, we'll see if we connect up, but we're not like the opposite side of the world, but it's nice we're at least playing the center is very different than playing in one of the corners. So there we go. That is a ton of activity for the first 7 hours of a 64-man game. We are now in the midst of cycle 1. Let's go in and see where we left off. We have finished expanding to the stars up north that we agreed or kind of bullied the merchant into letting us do. Had a really nice push on economy in the middle of the night. Looks like the merchant's doing the same thing, and then I spent the rest of my money on science. I was hoping to be able to hit like weapons at the end of this cycle, but unfortunately I hit scanning. The other thing is, I had a little bit of a run in, and I'll throw it up here with Soulfire. I think I came off a little strong at the beginning, and there we go. And you can pause if you wanted to actually read it. But basically, you know, saying, hey, it's a big ask. I came back through, and I think we worked through it. Um, and he's like, hey, I'm with you, but here's basically he's just saying he needs to expand too, and we worked it out so that we're going to kind of leapfrog each other, and then we get to the point. And the more I look at it, the more I'm like, all right, yeah, I really was just being a jerk, and a couple of stars here, there doesn't matter. So I just told him, why don't you keep this better star, and anything you need to go south, and then I'll take this one, and then when I consolidate with the merchant stars, it'll make more sense. He seemed happy with it. I think we're all in good shape. The biggest risk now, of course, is Jorb Gorb's terrible start. Um, if I didn't know him, I probably wouldn't have allied with him. I would have just killed him and probably would have pushed more to ally with the Carmonian Republic. So as it stands now, we have an AFK player hasn't moved, which is problematic. It's giving the Merchant and the Carmonian Republic free reign over stars, which is going to be tricky for me because now I have to fight to break in to get those. Jorb can't get to there. So it's just a problem all the way around. We'll have to see how this plays out. But my plan now is to try to break through the Merchant, but depending on how things go, I may try to take this route instead and just see if I can maybe just hop through there. And so just talk to the merchant about just using this as a hop to get into the fray. So we'll see. But that's where we're at this cycle. Cycle 2. Things looking good. Let me zoom into the northwest where we're living our best life. I was able to negotiate with the merchant, and he basically said, I said, hey, I really could use this as just to cut through. And he agreed. And then down on this chain of contention with Soulfire, we basically were leapfrogging. We found 2 stars back to back that looked better. I said, just keep the closer one. I'll take this one, and that'll be our divide. He seemed happy. I'm happy. And then, so he's nice and consolidated. And then since I have the cut through with this star for Merchant, I'll just funnel everything that way. Not a problem. I think we're on good grounds now with all 4 in the alliance from a political perspective. I continue to have good conversations with Belt here. We've been talking, and this player went AFK, Space Guy Ferrari, and then Zertu went AFK, so which is actually good. So let's talk about my problem. Well, first of all, I hit weapons and then the merchant hit experiments and just flat out gave them to me. I sent those along to pass those. So I sent them to Soulfire, who can send them to Belt, and then we'll get. And then luckily he was also able to get experiments from Jorb to Jorb. So I'm about to capture this next star, and then I'll get a better sense here of what's happening up on this front. I'm bringing in reinforcements, and so I did the math, and basically I would barely have enough if I have a 1 weapon lead on the merchant to take his home world. He's only got 6 industry, which is this star and this one, and so I think it would be too risky to blow everything right now. And if he's not going to be getting more industry, I can just kill him later. I do want to expand as quick as I can, though. So I think what I do is land here, get a sense, I need to figure out what I need, probably just to reach out to Carmonian and say, hey, what are we doing? But he also got hit weapons. So this is not a fight I really want to take right now, but I do want to see how things are looking with him. I think this is our first inflection point. The other thing of note, I've been getting, it's funny, messages from both the Bronx, from One Blue, and I think that's it. And they're just giving me the lowdown. So basically, the Bronx attacked One Blue. This Jider and one blue were allied, but Jider wouldn't help one blue when he asked because he was fighting with Orange Bob. But then after one blue fended off the Bronx, apparently now he's sending up ships. And he's like, what the heck? Those, like, now that I killed him, you're going to go take his stars? So there's the good news is these four are all fighting. And that means as soon as our range 2 pops, and I've been a little deceitful telling them that I'm fighting Soulfire, and that's just so they don't think there's any imminent threat. When in fact there's an imminent threat, and Soulfire should be able to come down and get some easy stars off of one blue. So this southern path actually looks pretty good. Both of my allies should make some progress pretty quickly. I'm not sure how it's going to work out for me. And then poor Jorbgorb, poor guy. He's a little bit stuck right now. And then the problem is even once I get through this mess, which I will, it's just how quickly, there's some monsters over here already that, we got our Belsun, Ungoliant, Tinfoil, Clan Mac, QWERTY. Like this is I don't know who's with who yet, but this is not going to be an easy next phase of the game. But for now, we have to focus on capturing the northwest corner. We'll focus up here for now. All right, that's it for cycle 2. Cycle 3, it's already starting to wind down. Let's zoom in and see what's happening up in our neck of the woods. I was able to go ahead and get the stars here and get some good vision of what's happening. And essentially, what I saw was the Carmonian Republic battling against the AI Izertu. And that's great because I immediately then, from this position, was able to give Izertu experiments and weapons and make him love me. We are super friendly. It will slow down Carmonian and weaken him as he already has lost a lot more fleets than I have as he's butting heads, but he's still weakening as Izertu. Jorbgorb finally got his range and is currently headed up to take these stars. I have full vision of the rest of the merchant stars, so we know that these stars have no industry, no science, no fleets, no carriers. They just have a total of 4 economy. And that means Jorb will get these 3 completely uncontested. He will, and he's actually doesn't have a ton of fleets, or ships, but he's got enough to do some damage. And if he can just take 1 star, I can transfer some tech to him. So Jorb's finally in the game. I have good vision. I was worried about what Carmonian Republic was going to do. And so I did send him a note saying, so I warned him, hey, I want to go ahead and take this just so I can help on the AI. Really, it was just to spy on him and then feed the AI tech to slow him down while I dealt with the merchant. And he wasn't very responsive. And so I asked him if he'd be willing to trade range, and said he's willing to trade me, but it was very late response, not very active. So we'll see if he comes through. I don't really want to trade him and give him anything, to be honest. Although if I give him terraforming, he'll just buff up the stars I'm going to take. So that's probably not the worst thing in the world. But so anyway, so this is like phase 2. Phase 1 is dealing with the merchant. So the merchant here is playing a different style of game, right? And he basically said, hey, I'd like to go ahead and start to expand. And I said, all right, great. Like, where do you want to go? And he goes, well, I want to go to here, and then I want to go to here, and then I want to go to here, and then I want to go to here. And I won't hold them and go here. So basically just blowing up all my economy. Like, yeah, that's not. This is my hot cocks. This is not your hot. Don't touch my hot cocks. That's. As soon as he said he wanted to get to my hot cocks, I said, no, you can't get to my hot cocks. Nobody touches that. At least the merchant doesn't. So anyway, That's a big no. But of course, I agree to it, and so he ships all his ships from his non-home place, which then I immediately run to grab. You probably read ahead. He was not a fan of that. He said, "Hey, I'm sorry, but you're taking a bit too much. I agreed on one planet, but you already took more than that. I still need some planets for science and economy." Oh, sorry, I thought it was okay. I'm like just slowly chipping away, and like I'm actively attacking him this entire game, but because he's playing a weird style, I'm kind of feigning that I'm not. Either way, so here's the plan. I've now got 129 fleets. If I launch on him now, right? So if I were to launch on him now, this is the big dilemma. This is what's so tricky, right? I get there in 6 hours. He would be in 6 hours. He would basically get another 10. So he would be at 125. Doing a little calculator, right? He's defending with 125 against my 129. He wins with 41 ships if he gets one more weapon. But right now he's at one weapon. I would win with three, and he's got nothing else around. So I could just go right now and take his home center. He doesn't have weapons. The problem is production in 2 hours. But if I wait, well, 3 hours. If I wait 3 ticks, he's going to have three, another five, and now I don't think I can do it. So I'm it's so close, but I don't think it's worth the risk. It's not worth the risk because what I want him to do is fine. If he's not gonna, I have basically this huge force looking, staring in at him, right? I'm gonna send up a little bit more. I'm gonna just eat up all his other stars, and he has a choice. Either he moves off his homeworld and I go take it, or he sits and watches me just completely take all his stuff. It's like, I don't know. What are you going to do? Like, I'm either going to take all your stuff and you have one place left, or you're going to leave and I'm going to take your only star that has any ships, industry on it. So, yeah, he's really in a tough spot now. And what I'm happy to see is Carmonian doesn't seem to be like working with him. So, just a matter of time before the poor merchant ends has to drop out. So anyway, that's where things stand. We'll worry about what's going on. There's activity over here. We're not going to worry about that for today. We're just going to stay laser focused on the task at hand, which is we have 3 enemies here, and Jorb and I to divvy up those 3 enemy stars. Soulfire, I believe, is about to launch south, and I've been talking with Belt here about moving in. So there things are about to happen. It's early in cycle 4, but I wanted to do a little update because a lot has transpired. In particular, I'm really glad I waited. The merchant did proc weapons. And so now, had I attacked, he would have devastated me. But instead, now I know I was able to get some more research and more science. And in 10 hours, thanks also to me capturing one of his stars here, I will have weapons 3, which I know he can't get. So now I've timed up my ships here to strike at 11 hours. And down here, they'll hit at 11 hours. So I'm basically, I kind of said, oh, you either get to homeworld or your other stars. Well, actually, you get neither. I'm going to take your side worlds, and I'm still going to be in position to strike because I'm going to have enough fleets in time because I have a higher weapon count. So that is the big exciting news. I also am going to be, he sent these ships up here, which I will explode. So he's basically at this point, this is his only place left. In other news then, I actually did start having conversations with the Carmonian Empire. I'm actually still trying to get range from him. I sent him terraforming. He has, of his 208 ships, 100 of them up here, the other 50 down here, and so 50 just being made. He's got nothing back at home. And Jorb said he's coming up here, and he's also going to be launching on his southern stars, and so he should be successful. But here's what I'm worried about. I did get communications back from both Tinfoil and Quirty. Quirty was like, hey, just checking out. He confirmed that Quirty said, we're with Tinfoil and Ungoliant and maybe even Belsun, but those three for sure. Tinfoil said he's with Quirty and Ungoliant. So this little sector here is definitely, and Tinfoil said he's coming my way. So let me just show you that real quick. So I've been talking to Tinfoil, and he said, yep, I'm working with these two players. I'm explaining towards you. I said, is that like a friendly let's work together way, or I'm coming at you to take your stars? And he said, we'll see. Assume friendly. I do not assume that. Um, then from Queerty, oh yeah, back with the merchant, I did ask would he just for him to send me experiments 3. Don't think he's gonna do it, but I figured it can't hurt to ask, right? Um, so with Queerty, he was just saying, hey, you don't happen to be the guy making the videos. I said he was. Said good luck. And then he said he's twirling closely with Tin and Ung, possibly bringing Belson on board, but waiting to hear from allies. Mm-hmm. So I then notified the Northeast Quadrant. So I've got a buddy over here from prior games under the name of the Jewish Star Empire. And so I let him know because I'm worried about this center group, especially if they pull in Belsun. This will be more than Jorb and I can handle. And so I wanted the Jewish Star Empire to be in the loop on this as well, so he could. And um, I also told Belson, and I basically was trying to create doubt with Belson that he's really in the fold. Oh yeah, so here we go. So basically, I told him classified intel. So I told him it's self-serving, but this is what I learned. It's powerful, so you should work with your people to stop it. And he's like, yeah, I thought so too. He's like, I don't know if I could trust you. I told him I'm always self-serving. Um, and if I think you're the biggest threat, I'm going to attack you. But if not, I'll work with you. I don't care if we've attacked before. Anyway, so I'm hoping he rallies his side against the center as well. And then my conversation with Belsun, if I can find it quickly. Yeah. So here's what I basically said. Hey, I knew you probably know this, but I've heard these three are tight. They're considering bringing you in, but someone has a beef with you, some friction, don't know what it is. So like this part's true, that part I made up. But hey, if you don't work with them and you fight against them, we can divvy up their stars, and then I'll just go in the northeast and we'll have a friendly border. So I'm kind of trying, like we're talking to these guys about attacking and these guys about attack. So I just want to give myself some options on see which way it goes. And then, then I showed him that tinfoil basically said, this is what I said, here's what I got. I'm working with these two people and expanding north. And so I told him your name was not included in that list of allies. So curious Belsan's response. He has not given me one. Anyway, so that's some of the politics going on. Oh, and then one other little tidbit I got was this guy here underneath this Avoratite. Avoratite, I don't know. He said he was fighting with Leon. They were going button heads. This is just an AI right here. And but finally, Leon said, just take my stars. I'm going to suicide kamikaze into the fleet, which will be interesting because now that also may impact Belsun. So it all kind of comes together what's going on in the politics. I don't know exactly the implication, but I found it interesting as my other two allies are trying to push down through this. So anyway, that is the early Cycle 4 update. We are in the early hours of Cycle 6. And the fight didn't go exactly how I thought with the merchant, but at the end of the day, I got his home world. His last few ship counts are being picked off, and he'll be gone in 7 hours. I've now negotiated with Jorbgorb. Basically, he's going to get this half here. I'm going to get the northern half of all of these stars. And then we're identifying which star for me to jump over in to help push into the center. So that's it. On the other front here, we have Belt, who finally was able to make progress on the AFK Space Guy Ferrari and finish it, cleaning him up, getting ready to jump onto the Bronx. And then we have Soulfire, who was able to finally make ground on one blue, who was getting attacked by two other players. And so they're making progress in the south as well. So things are looking good. And now the next probably 24, 48 hours are going to be a little boring, just executing plan until we get to move forward into the next phase of the game. Cycle 7, as predicted, this is just really cleanup phase. So if we zoom in on how things are going, the merchant is gone. We're going ahead and moving on Carmonian Republic. We've got a couple big fleets there. We're going to take those out. We're still friendly with the AI, which will wait to the last minute and take off those stars. Jorb's done a great job recovering from his horrific starting spot. He really has done wonderful. Looking to get him manufacture and get range from him. That'll allow me to get another star up top. Down in our southern front, they did finish off one blue, but Soulfire and Belt need to work on taking out the Bronx now, who seems like he is aligned with the Jindir. So anyway, they're working over on that. So here's what the other interesting thing. Tinfoil basically said to Jorb, I'm either going to attack you or you're going to give me a path through and work with me. It was kind of and they know each other, and I just allied with Tinfoil, so good player. But that doesn't really work for us. So he's going to invite him in, and then once he gets in there, we're just going to collapse on him, and whatever path he comes in is my path out. And if you look at Jorb, he's coming alone too. I think they're kind of splitting in three directions. But we're gonna deal with the other ones. But like QWERTY, he may turn on us, but it's still like I'm just as big as QWERTY alone. Jorb's just as big as almost as big as Tinfoil. So they can't have all three turn on us. And if we get Belsun, I'm not sure his status with these guys, but if we get a little coordination, we should be able to push in there fine. And we're just going to get bigger because we still have a few, I still have these stars. And then Soulfire is going to take these 71. He's going to go ahead and I'm going to give up this Dark Ice Star and then this star for him in return for him using the rest of his fleets to throw into Carmonian, the Carmonian Republic's homeworld to help finish taking those off. So that's the plan. Probably another day before all that's fully executed. I did spend a lot of time. I got a nice little route here with. Oh, why can I not click on it? No, maybe I'm clicking on the wrong thing. Anyway, I've got a nice path with the infrastructure kind of cutting through these four big stars, and then those would be the first ones I'll warp gate. But I've got a nice little infrastructure going to be able to start moving on my fleets or ships quickly to the front line. Cycle 8. So the biggest news in the last 24 hours was our inclusion of Avarite into the alliance. Basically, as we were looking, so up in the top portion here, we cleaned it up. Carmonian Empire or Republic is dead. I'm punching out through the same way that Tinfoil's coming in, and not really concerned. But over here, we were looking at, Belt making progress on the Bronx, and he should take these stars pretty quickly. And then you have Soulfire, who's made land, but kind of in a bit of a pickle. Well, we reached out to Avarite, who Belt had worked with in the past, and basically agreed to pull him into our alliance. And this does a couple of things. One is it just makes sure that there's no pressure from down here. So once our team works through these three empires, they've got a clean shot to keep going down and pushing into the southwest corner. Meanwhile, we have this central alliance with Tinfoil, QWERTY, they're pushing that way. Well, the Ungoliant and Belsun are pushing into him. And we don't want that because if they continue to grow, it makes our push out of this corner bad. It's just all bad. We don't, this central alliance needs to be dealt with swiftly. And right now, of Averite, I'm going to mess up his name and say it differently every time. Big A. We'll call him Big A. He's our front line of defense. So we need to connect. We need to get in scan range, and we're almost there. If we could just get like this one more star, we could swap and we could upgrade him to weapons 5. I had a lucky weapons proc. So we now have the best weapons in the whole galaxy. We need to get those to Big A so he can protect us. So let me show you a little map I put together with that in mind. We're basically Jorb and I are pushing out into tinfoil, and then we'll have to deal either with QWERTY, Ungoliant, or both at the same time. Meanwhile, you have the northeast corner where QWERTY and Galaxu are pushing in, and a stalemate there would be good. Although I could see us longer term working with the Jewish Star Empire and kind of pushing all south together. I don't fear them winning overall, but therefore they're not a threat, and therefore them fighting the bigger threats is in my best interest. So, but that's for another day. This first group is the bigger issue. I'm talking with Fleet to see if he needs a friend. I think he does. Once this orange star went AFK, once we take Big A on our side, he will have no friends, and he's actually a good player. I've played in games with him as well. This La Brute is not that strong. So pulling in Fleet might not be a bad move as well if we can get the team to agree. Like I said, we have Bronx, Jadir, Orange Bob. That's what Soulfire and Belt are pushing in through. Now, the other thing of interest, we have this Starbuck, Trace, and Scarlet. They're a very communicative group down together. They basically have been talking with everybody, trying to gather intel. They probably are going to be the late game threat as they push out on the weaker players. They said they're trying to coordinate with Phil Bill and Blueby, which, of course, they're going to team up with more people or they're going to get behind in tech. I would prefer that, and I would prefer Rager to get killed because I played against him and he's a good player, and he doesn't like me. So I would like him to be removed as well. So if those two do work with yellows, it'll make it harder for my teams, but there's not much I can do about that to influence it at this point. And the other big alliance on the board here is this one with the AI VVV, Ripper and Darmody. They're going to grow and most likely going to be problematic if they push into this corner, which the AI probably will. That's going to be a problem. So I need to talk to Jewish Star about what his relationship is and if we can have them push the center as well. I don't know. I don't know what I want, but this is another problematic group. And I think if you noticed, he's actually right now the top of the leaderboard. So he's a big player. Although let's take a look. Yeah, he's got good income. He basically matches me in stats. So although a little bit behind in tech. So yeah, so we'll see. That's where we're at, and probably not a whole lot of interesting things in the next 24 hours in my direct vicinity. It's going to be all politics until probably 2 or 3 days before I can get out of here. All right, we have a Cycle 8 update. Our spies are actually Belt. I give him 100% credit on this. He did some analysis. He's like, "Holy crap, Gray! Look at this." AI VVVV. So this is a chart from one of the websites where you could look at all the stats. And he highlighted, he's gotten 2 range, 1 terraforming, 1 experiments, a weapon, 2 bank, and a manufacturing in the last 20 hours. That's more than an alliance can do. That is a tech dump. And so we're like, well, okay, what's that mean? What that means is this alliance of 3 merged with the Knights who say Ni. He wanted to go by the Knights of the Round Table, but I asked him who was in the Knights of the Round Table, and he refused to answer, so I told him that he will be the Knights who say Ni instead. But what that means is you have this big 7-man alliance, this group here, all working together. with these two, we'll call them Lancelot and King Arthur, heading up in the northeast. Um, Harkonnen, I think, is actually also heading that way. So you have these three heading into Quirtia and Galaxu. You have these two heading into the south. That is basically, they're not anyone strong down there. And you have AI VVV going to probably either go into the central section, but what that means is I have alerted the pinks here, who didn't seem too concerned about it, but I've alerted Belsun as well, because he's going to take the brunt. Like if AI also hits Belsun while these three are hitting these two, it could get ugly for them, and this could be good, because what that could mean is then Belsun and Ungoliant have to turn to the east instead. Gives my guy a chance to take up some of these easy targets while the rest of my folks get down into position, and no one can help as Jorb and I take out Tinfoil. So Belsun's coalition here is not looking to be in very good shape. It's always hard to be in the center, and this is no exception. So anyway, this was Crasso goes by Belt in this game, figured this out, and that was a huge catch in the last 20 hours. I wanted to make sure I give him kudos for that analysis. Cycle 9. So there's not a whole lot of interest in actually what's going on up here. I have rain, so I'm going to go get another star, clean up AI, working on getting my infrastructure built out, and then moving out on Tinfoil coming in. I think there's 60 fleets there, or ships there. What's more interesting is the response to the discovery. So I let the Jewish Star Empire know that the gig is up. So let me just show you what I sent him, and then you're just gonna get it. This is just so much fun. So I was just asking him, hey, are you okay with AI VVV? He's either gonna push into you or center. Are you okay? And then I realized that they allied. And I said how embarrassing. My spies reported some interesting news indeed. You could ignore my previous question, which is clearly no longer necessary. We have our answers. The knights who say ni have indeed made themselves a large target. And then in Discord, I get this message. He knows. Let's take a look
concerning, here. And I agreed. We both
this is a
figured
clip
this
from
was
his video
dangerous.
series.
And he contacts me, because you're talking about the center, and
this is from yesterday.
It confirmed we both agreed that this was a big danger. But he did make it clear that if we were more powerful, then he might, turn against us. So there's that, and him joining us might just trigger that. So
it might.
I'll do my best to omit that small detail whenever I talk to him. Well,
you hear the little laugh at the end, how he thought he was getting one up on us?
He knows! He knows! Oh! How did he know? Who told him? Dang it. Oof. This is going to be a bit of a problem.
That's funny. All right. Well, so he knows. Yes, so I know. And he confirmed. So now, like, the question is, what do you do with this information? And remember, the person who's impacted the most is not me. I'm actually fine, right? Our alliance is fine. But what's happening is Ungoliant and Belsun are both attacking our newest member, Big A. And I thought maybe this information, now that AIVVV is going to be going in and likely heading to the center, and that there's actually 3 people coming this way, that, this is going to affect them. Maybe we could work together and work something out. So I reached out to Belsun. He didn't answer. And so I'm like, you know what? Cards on the table. Let's go. So I wrote this. You can read what I wrote. Basically, I just gave him everything. I sent him a link to the video, just to prove, like, I'm not making this up. This is in his own words. This is the alliance. They're going to come kill you. And so I said, here's what I'd like to do. Guys, stop attacking Big A. He won't attack you. Soulfire won't attack you. All right, we do need to kill Tinfoil because he's in the way. But we can work something out. And basically the response was, sounds like your proposal works out good for us. I'm like, all right, well, what do you want? Like, help. Like, this is just, this is the starting negotiations, right? Like, why would I not put together a negotiation that works good? And again, maybe it was too many people. Maybe it was, not worded properly or compelling enough. And I get mocked. They come up with some conditions, and then it just gets silly. So I'm like, all right, forget it. My bad. And a little disappointed that we can't have a dialogue. Now, that being said, later on, I did actually, I might have to refresh here. I actually did get a message from Ungoliant, and he basically said, hey, it's hard to bring, it's like herding cats. And so he opens up a dialogue, and I said, hey, thanks. Um, but to the point, like, what are you guys going to do? And he basically said, I guess we're going to die. So I am taking the opportunity to say, listen, I got to kill Tinfoil. And if Cordy doesn't want to cooperate, that's fine. But Jorb and I can just go right across the top, like I offered to Belson, into the northeast corner, which is what I feared. And it'd be nice if he stops attacking my ally. But I don't even really want to get to the center. Now we'll see what happens when I get there, but it is a valid proposal that would make it so he doesn't have to die. And I'm not asking him to stab his ally. I'm just asking him to, when it's inevitable, you don't have to quit. I'm willing still to work with you, even though we're fighting together today, fighting against each other today. We can be, partners down the road. So we'll see what he comes back with. I don't know, but I'm hopeful. I also then reached out to this group here. So Care, Starbuck, Thrace, and Scarlet. I have been talking to them a little bit, you can see, because they're going to be a powerhouse as well. I let them know about, hey, this is a big threat on your eastern side. They noticed it. They can confirm it. But, they don't seem too concerned either. Um, I offer them to collaborate and work together, and I need to answer their question about, well, how could we? Because what I would like to do is we also and I also reached out to Fleet, but I would like to get these Soulfire and Belt just pushing down into this corner, so all the way down. Get A either to work with Fleet here, if I can click on it, or the Pink Alliance here, and so there's we have more people working on our side because this game really is about building a bigger alliance. So we'll see, but that's really the most important thing. I'm gonna just, for prosperity's sake, gonna flash up here. I'm gonna star front. I'm near the top. On the economy, I'm at the top. On industry, I'm at the top. On science, I'm at the top. On ship count, I'm at the top. So individually doing good. My alliance is strong. I think they're all on board. And this merging of this mega alliance, I think it's only going to help me in the short term. In the long term, I got to make sure they don't get too powerful. But anyway, that's the update on politics. We'll see where it goes from here. Cycle 11. Let's get everyone caught up to speed. A lot's happened. First of all, I think the last we left it was the alliance in the eastern side that I call the Knights Who Say Ni. They pulled in AIVVV, and I thought they had pulled in the Ripper as well as Darmody. That may have been incorrect, and I think that was incorrect because one, the texts have now been getting out of sync, and two, when Jewish Star Empire sent me the video, I noticed in the video he had only included AI VVVV and not the others. So pretty sure now that this alliance is just this group here. Now, the other piece of news is on my front, we have Avorti, Big A as I called him. He is fully on board, and he is playing. He's doing a great job defending off against Belson, who's attacking from here, and Ungoliant. Ungoliant did make some progress. He got over to this star, which then was able to feed Orange Bob weapons before. So Orange Bob quit, but then got a little influx of weapons, which makes our boys push in the south a little bit slower. But one blue's gone, the Bronx is gone, and Belt and Soulfire are now pushing through this, and they have to deal with Jadir, but Jindir, but it really is not going to be a problem. It won't be a problem until they get down to this point and they'll be up against Spymort. But Spymort, we reached out to him. He's first of all far behind in tech. He's pushing down to his south and he's trying to connect with Phil Bill. So we now know the southwest will be Spymort, Phil Bill, and I think they'll connect with Rager, Rewin Rager, who I've played against on a number of occasions. So I think that's going to end up being that corner. In the center, you've got Team Pink, so Kara Starbuck Thrace and Scarlet. Now these two, when I asked for a reaction to this Eastern Alliance, basically said no thanks, but no thanks. We confirm we see it. We don't want to we know that there's 3 mega alliances up north and it's weak in the south. They don't plan to move north at all. They plan to come down and eat in the south and maybe join an alliance in the south. I hope they don't connect with a southwest crew. That will be a problem if they do. We'll see. More interesting and more direct then is I had mentioned I reached out to Fleet. And, so Fleet is right next to Big A, Avo. And the original alliance was Belsun. I think it was Leon, who's Leon, who they turned on. So, but it was Belsun with the Fleet, with La Brochet, and then Orange Star, who went AFK. And when he went AFK, things started to crumble, and that's when Belsun joined the 3 folks to his north. And so that's kind of how things transpired. Fleet got recruited, and the timing, I think, was really good because Belson recruited and gave him a bunch of techs right when I was reaching out to Fleet. And my concern was we had already 2 people attacking our partner, and we weren't yet connected. And if the Fleet hit him too, he would crumble, and then these guys were going to have a really hard time. But as it were, basically I had, and let me go ahead and just pull up my conversation, the thread with Fleet. Again, I played with him, actually against him, and I really like him. I think he's a strong player, a loyal player. So I gave him a heads up way back, way long ago, and then basically I asked him if he wanted to join, and because I felt like if he didn't join us, he was going to join Belson and be a problem, and it would only be our 6th member, which isn't that big. Is probably a good number. Internally within our alliance, we were debating, is that too many? But yeah, so he said, great. Thank you for welcoming me. He would like to do it. I said, there's no problem. He said, at the risk of awkwardness, what's the impact of me not attacking Bells? Technically, he's my ally. And then I'm like, oh crap, right? But since he's not capable of actually attacking Belsun because he was weak at the time, he won't. Belsun would not be mad at him, and so he was kind of playing the fence there. And I get it, but I wasn't in a position to be demanding, and so I had written a wall of text and said, okay, you know what? Yeah, we can work. We'll work with it because we don't really have a choice. It's not my desire, but okay. And so basically, and you can read all the detail and pause and read the conversation, but it's he didn't want to attack his prior allies, which is totally fine. The question then is, what do you do once this once you eat up the people you can eat up? We don't want to go down into Team Pink. So the only other thing he could do then is push into AIVVVVV, which is going to be tricky for him because he's not that strong, and AIVVVV is pretty strong, right? So this is a strong player with 2,000 ships, a lot of economy, a lot he's strong, um, and the fleet doesn't have a natural path to get there anyway, and it doesn't look like so. Um, and so now the fleet has choices. He doesn't want to go south and mess with that. He doesn't want to attack Belsun. He doesn't want to attack his old ally. Well, that leaves our guy. So now that we have him, he basically agreed, and we've been sharing tech with him. And so I think he's coming around. And so what he said is, Belsun, give me a star. I'm going to attack Ungoliant. Well, Belsun's like, no, I'm allied with Ungoliant. And so they're starting to come to blows, which is a beautiful thing. So because I didn't push the issue and worked with him and tried to give him an out, it seems like he's more and more on the outs with Belsun, who is already kind of behind on star count, and where is he going to expand because because Avo is putting up a good defense. And actually, Leon 5's almost dead, but he's been throwing everything at Belsun as well. That now, if the fleet also goes and attacks to the north, it's going to be a big problem for him. So that's what's happening in the center. And so again, let me go ahead and bring up the map. So given that we have our core 4 players, Avo has been outstanding. I'm so excited he joined us because he's been on it with intel, with technology, and holding the central at bay. So to me, he is a full-fledged member of our alliance. Full stop. The fleet is still a little bit sus, but this green line was their original alliance, and so fleet doesn't want to attack and his prior 2 alliance members. But I think that's about to change. And so now you have this central group of Ungoliant and Belsun who's getting stonewalled. And then you have Jorb and I, who it's taken us those 3 days to get to tinfoil. So let me then flip back to what it's looking like there. Up in this corner, last cycle, I knew it was going to take a long time to get up to this star here. And so what I did is I spent all my money last cycle getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 warp gates. This cycle I got 2 more. And so now basically I have the 400 about to blow him up, and I'm landing here in 4 hours, and I'm finishing weapon 7 in 3. So an hour before I land, I timed it up. My weapons will hit. I'll be able to go ahead and take this star, warp gate it, and then within 14 hours, from all the way back here up, I did a little calculator, I'll have 1,141 plus some production ships, and I'm just going to come barreling down into tinfoil. So again, I'll be, let's say, 1,150. I'll have more ships on his doorsteps than he has in his entire armada, especially because he's going to lose those 4. This 350 are going to go away. So he will be absolutely overwhelmed in the next cycle or 2. And when I march in this way, Jorb is going to go from here to here, and then at that point we'll just spread like the plague. I'll probably go down south first. Jorb will start to deal with Queerty. From this side, they're going to be screwed, especially if you have the fleet going north to hit Ungoliant. As predicted, they're going to crumble. Now, all that to be said is if they would have worked with me to deal with the east, that wouldn't happen that way. But because they were so belligerent and so really just rude about mocking my suggestions, that's how things are going to play out. But the good news is the Jewish Star Empire and this Eastern Alliance are actually petrified that we're aligning with them to attack them because I told them that I would be. They don't know that it completely fell apart and we're attacking them anyway. So as a result, I got a message from King Arthur let me go to the stop, and you know what? Let's have King Arthur speak on his behalf. And I apologize, I can only, for free, get a female voice.
Hail and well met, Graymason. We have not been formally introduced, but I believe we know each other through reputation.
Okay.
Allow me to be frank, it is my understanding that your Western powers were in support of our conflict against the Central powers,
We were.
including QWERTY 1000.
Yeah,
As our
definitely.
numbers have grown, you have seen fit to relinquish your support and undermine us in a more subtle manner.
I have, yeah, it's
This
true.
allows you to play both sides comfortably.
My own side,
If you care
really.
to hear me out, I would like to offer you an unconventional deal that could tip the scales of war further to your favor.
I like to
Yours
hear that.
royally, King
Yeah,
Arthur.
yeah. So you're going to tip the scales in my favor and unconventional. So yes, that sounds great. So I played along a little role playing. Well met. So wondrous day indeed for none other than King Arthur himself to communicate to such a lowly mason worker. As a quick aside, blah blah whatever. Of course, playing the game, put the alliance in the best position to be successful. So I'm always open. So what do you have in mind?
Interesting. Your father wouldn't happen to be a Freemason, would he? Perhaps you are not as
Little
lowly
role-playing
as you
stuff.
claim. And perhaps you are familiar with the teachings ascribed to my namesake.
Okay.
Namely, my table is without a head, those that sit at my table are my equal.
Okay. So we're
Yet the
looking here.
equation is simple. Since 6 has joined my table, our alliance is too strong.
Okay.
This
Not
is why you have
really.
begun seeding other alliances against us.
But okay, we'll
If my table
let
were
them
to
think
lose a
that.
member, suppose QWERTY 1000 suddenly absorbed one of the Eastern kingdoms in its entirety.
Yeah.
These scales would tip the other way, the West and East unite again or become overwhelmed. Such is unlikely, wouldn't you think? Even absent-minded rulers can hold their corner for some time. Only a brazen fool would send their entire army into the fray, opening their castles to the enemy to conquer. Make no mistake, Mason, I am no fool, nor one to throw in the towel on a whim.
Okay.
And yet I must ask, is there no higher honor for a king than to lay down his life for the good of his subjects,
Oh, okay.
particularly his equals? Herein is my deal, my crown for unity with the West. If you refuse, I will cede my territory now to the center to force the West and East to unify.
Interesting. Okay.
If you accept, join our assault while the center's forces are trained on us, and you may claim theirs and my territory uncontested. I await your thoughts in response to this line of inquiry.
So if I understood.
Truly, King Arthur.
Okay. So what I'm understanding is he's afraid that because they grew too large, that they're a target, which I tried to, but honestly, no one went along with it. They could just hold their ground and do nothing and be fine. But okay, they want us to work with them, and if I don't, he's just going to give his stars to QWERTY, making it harder, and I don't want that. So if I agree with him, he's essentially saying, while they're busy attacking, we can just go attack them. And then when I get to him, he'll give me his stars. Which that sounds good. Unlikely, but good. So let's go. So let me ask a couple of follow-up questions then. So I'm humbled. Rarely has there been such a leader, noble and kind. I want to accept your offers. Unity with the East was my original intention, but before I fully commit, can I ask some additional details? It'll take days, if not a week, to get to position. Are you staying on and fighting while my allies and I work our way there? Our range limits our initial progress. And what does your subjects know? So what's his team know about this deal? Will they honor it once he's gone? And so his response.
Your skepticism is warranted. I would not expect you to accept without first seeing the angles. I can only say that any knight of my realm who acts without honor is an impostor, and deserves to be deposed as such.
Okay.
Let my words be my bond.
It means
I
nothing to
cannot
me.
speak for my subjects after I am gone. They are free-thinking individuals.
Of course they are.
However, I will make my desires clear to them, so there can be no misunderstanding that cheating you only serves to tarnish my memory and legacy.
Okay, that might work for
Similarly,
someone.
I have no desire to betray my reputation as warrior king. I will fight till my day is called.
Okay.
If necessary, I can keep you briefed with daily reports of the fight in the front lines.
That would be
Troop
helpful.
numbers, garrisons, victories, and defeats. It is also true that it may be some time before your armies can move into position, but that is not the only tool at your disposal.
Okay, what do you mean?
It is within your power to rescind the seeds of hostility you have sown against my realm, and I expect you to do so if you truly believe in a united North.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Reports will swiftly find their way to me through independent channels, and this is how I will know that you intend to follow through on your word. If there is any detail I have missed, I urge you to remind me. You can of course continue reaching out to me once plans are in motion, but I believe decisiveness is a virtue here.
So I think the right play here is to agree because it benefits me to agree. I don't get their I don't get their play in this. Um, they're basically letting me expand, and so I think my follow-up question needs to be um, who's going to be left and what's their growth path and what's my growth path. So if we're united, how do we do this? So who's left? And I think if I can get that clarity and it makes sense, then we move forward with it. If it doesn't make sense, I agree to it and then just go back on my word because um, I think I need to go to the northeast corner regardless. If he makes it easier, then great. Um, but right now, I think our alliance is the biggest threat on the board. We have really not a lot of conflict coming down the west. I guess the only other thing that would be a problem is if this Team Pink aligned with the southwest. That could be formidable. Um, and certainly if they had an agreement with this Eastern alliance. So I think forming an agreement to make kind of like a northern alliances to push south makes sense. Um, because honestly, I think I can outplay these folks anyway. So anyway, that's where we're at. We'll see how this plays out. I think I need some more details, but of course I'm going to play along. And Tinfoil's going to die. So I love you, Tinfoil. I'm sorry. Welcome to Cycle 12. Today is a big day. I have been stagnant, just bringing forces to the front line, and they've finally arrived. And I am now a mere hour and a half from landfall on Tinfoil's territory. That'll get me great visibility to what's coming ahead. And I have plenty of reinforcements streaming in behind. Jorb, I seem to be getting all their attention, so I think this is going to free up Jorb to get a nice landing here and really the start of a push. Now, the one problem is Ungoliant has decided to help his allies, which is the honorable thing to do and totally understandable. So I did the math. I'm going to land here. My 830 will be reduced by his 508 to about 250. And then after defensive bonus with the 376, he will win with about 88 fleets left if I just defend. But if I don't do that, I could go and start to try to pick off some easy targets with tinfoil. So I need to see what makes sense. Like if his homeworld's here and is undefended, I can just go take it. I'll probably just go do that. I'm going to land. I have 3 hours before he arrives. So I could, in theory, get 3 hours of a warp gate with this group moving forward, and maybe even more if he's not on it. I don't know how timely Ungoliant is. So my 16 hours, and I could leave at the tick that I'm landing here to avoid tinfoil countering. And if I do that, it'll only be 15 hours, which will make the warp speed only 5 hours. I arrive 3 hours ahead of time, which should then get me within 6 hours, worst case, of if he turns off my warp gate, or 2 hours if not. So I need to figure out once I land, tactically, do I warp gate this and try to push it in, or if I try to just let it blow up, send these ships in afters and try to get more. I think it'll depend on what I see. In other news with the Alliance, the Southern Front pushes. Soulfire is now, he surpassed me. He's doing spectacular. Belt is doing spectacular. They're both pushing and will very soon be on the edge of Spymort and begin to push down into that southwest corner. Avo has been doing an outstanding job fending off the horde, and once he gets a breather, will consume the AI behind him, who is actually giving him some tech along the way. It's actually worked out really well. But he's defending and actually may be able to make a counter push soon. And then Fleet, our newest member, who we pretty much have on board but haven't fully brought in, is, as predicted, given a little bit of a chance, doing quite well for himself. I think he's got some friendly relationships to his south. So he's going to be pushing into Belsun and Ungoliant as well now. He had, again, remember, he was allied with Lebro here, and so he was going to be giving Lebro some tech. So Lebro can go and fight AIVV. AIVV wants the fleet to go north, of course, so he can get his. So there's a little bit of issues here, but it's all good. Now, I played all those King Arthur messages yesterday, and when I was waiting for my response, I got a mass message came back from the Road to the Future from the Jewish Star with their alliance and the alliance members on our side that they know about. Notice distinctly the fleet and Avo is not included on this list. I do not want him knowing that, which is funny, right? Because this whole thing started with saying that they blew up too big, and now like we're way bigger than them. But shh, don't tell Jewish Star. Okay. Anyway, so his message was basically, and I'll let you read it, but it was actually much more reasonable. Like it was more balanced. Because remember before, I'm like, why would they offer me everything? It made no sense at all. And now he's basically saying we unite, we just push into the center, and then as the four alliances, Jorb and I plus Lancelot and Harkoon, they'll just push down through the middle. So the four of us push through the center. The problem, of course, with that is I've now made friends with the fleet, and so I would get an Avo. They don't know that this whole band here are my guys. And so, of course, they would want us to push down into those, but they're our allies, and I don't want to tip the hand. So basically, my response back, and most of our team's like, wait, what? We don't want to do that. And my response was thankful. I liked King Arthur's message better. And let's just see, let's build trust. Let's see, I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of looking too massive. Can we just stay small and nimble and negotiate once we come borders? Anyway, that is where we left it on that diplomatic front. So, and then on the other diplomatic front, we had, when I had reached out to the Center Alliance and basically got shut down hard. I have to go back a little bit more. QWERTY came back and saying, hey, hope things are settled down, but can we not attack each other? It's just going to hurt us because other people are going to get strong. Blah, 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 blah. I quoted them, no empire should have to suffer such a fate as to live under the tyranny of demands without compassion. Yeah, because earlier that was what, when I was trying to negotiate, I hope so that they don't have to live under the tyranny of this demand without compassion. It's just whatever. So I thought I was being clear saying no. And he's like, I'm hearing you're open to discuss a ceasefire. And so okay, so my response was that I said, hey, we should negotiate. Here's a starting point. I get insulted and slandered. 2 days later, when I have over 1,000 fleets and Jorgor's got 700 fleets in range, they want to negotiate. My response is QWERTY's response to this is
Vexes me. I'm terribly vexed.
He's terribly vexed. He is terribly vexed by this, as he should be. And but he doesn't believe. He still doesn't. It's not clear. So I have to make myself unquestionably clear. I'm going to kill Tinfoil. I'm going to kill Ungoliant. I'm going to kill QWERTY. I'll continue to kill until the bloodthirst of my people is quenched. The bloodthirst of my people is unquenchable. I think that is clear with my intention. And then I said, no, but it's no hard feeling with Jorb Corb. or with no hard feelings with tinfoil. I like him. So anyway, that is where the negotiations stand. I've clearly declared war on the center. Jorba and I are attacking. Avo and Fleet are attacking. We've got 4 on 3 that are also split and getting pushed from their side. They should fall. It does seem like they're defending against me. We'll see what happens when we get to the east, but hopefully these guys over here are able to make so much progress, and we should pull ahead even further in tech that it's non-consequential. I may do another quick video in a couple hours when I land here and can show what it looks like. But for now, that is the updates. Fast forward a couple hours. I've landed, I secured it, and I built a warp gate on it. For all of my money. May have been a mistake, but let's go through the logic here and open to feedback on what I could have used the money I built on the warp gate to build 9 economy, or I could do it to save myself at least 6 hours, but potentially 10 hours. And I'm hoping I get the 10 hours, because what's going to happen is right now I land in 4, but he lands here in 2. So that I'll get 2 hours out of it, and then that 4 could turn into 6, right? Well, whatever. I did it. He's going to destroy this star and reclaim it. He'll have 112 ships. I will come in, and my guys will be facing 100, and then with the production, I think about 115. So I'll be at 402 ships here in either 4 or 10, 12 hours, depending on how on it Ungoliant is. We will see. At that point, I think what I do is I fan out and start taking these guys here, starting, of course, with the home world, with Shy. Yes, it's home world, 50 natural resource, and I go for these 4 stars and then push south. What Jorb is going to do, he's going to land here successfully, and he doesn't arrive for another 6 hours. I told him go ahead and grab this 41 natural resource star. That will give him a nice little foothold in our space. He can kind of fan out, get these 3, and so he can start pushing out this direction while I start pushing out down in the south. We kind of cut tinfoil right in half, so we're each taking a piece of it, and then I'm dealing with Ungoliant while Jorb's dealing with Queerty, and then at the same time we know that our southern allies are pushing in as well. So still torn, should I bot 9 economy or a warp gate? I'm really hoping this warp gate lives. I will be super excited if it does. That being said, this will end this very long first video of the series. We're clearly now past the early game. We are into the mid game, probably further than I would have expected. It's just the fact that it took me so long to get out of my corner. So this is where we stand. Again, we are at cycle 21, about halfway through, and you have Soulfire, Graymason, Belt, all in positions 3, 4, 5 out of 64. We are in wonderful position. Let's see what happens in the next video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, click on the link for the next episode, and don't forget to click subscribe for more content.